Welcome back. Today we discuss the strange murder of this beautiful little girl that will make you cry. Don't watch if you are tender-hearted. Katie Sharon Ruff was born on January 16, 2009, in York, England. York, with a population of over 200,000 people, is one of the most important cities in England and has a significant history. Katie lived in this city with her parents Paul and Alison Ruff since birth. According to the information available from their family, Katie also had a stepsister who was 8 years older than her and did not live with them. In 2009, Paul and Alison had their first child together, which was Katie, and they did their best to ensure that this little girl grow up in a healthy and loving environment. And that's how it happened. Kitty loved her parents. She had a close relationship with her grandmother and stepsister. She was a playful and warm-hearted child, and everyone loved her. In the last week of December 2016, Paul and Alison officially got married and had a private wedding. Paul and Alison thought 2017 was going to start and end great for them, as the whole family was happier than ever. At the beginning of the new year, 7-year-old Katie Ruff was very excited for her birthday. Katie would be 8 years old on January 16th, and her parents are planning to have a birthday party for their daughter and invite her friends. Exactly 1 week before Katie's 8th birthday, this little girl left home to play after school. According to available reports, at 4:20 p.m. on January 9th, Katie Ruff was playing alone around her house, happy and smiling, until she met one of their neighbors. According to the words of one of the passerby on Kitty Street, she knew this young neighbor who was dating a 16-year-old girl. The teenage girl joined Katie, and the two of them went to the park near Ruff's family's house while laughing and seeming to be playing. Katie was supposed to return home at 4 o'clock, and as time passed, Alison became worried about her daughter's condition, but she waited again. Kitty always went alone around the house and played in the park, and nothing bad ever happened to her. 45 minutes passed from 4:09 p.m., and Kitty's mother's patience ran out when she saw that her daughter did not return home and called the police with anxiety and worry. She reported the disappearance of her 7-year-old daughter, but before she could follow up and even talk to the police station, she heard the siren of the police car. Alison Ruff followed the sound of the police car and realized that in the park near their house, some people have gathered and the police forces are taking people away from the scene. She pushed aside the people around the area and ran towards the stage. In the middle of the park and exactly inside the area where her daughter always played, the bloody body of 7-year-old Katie Ruff was lying on the ground. Alison recognized her daughter with a glance and went to the child. The ambulance hadn't arrived yet. No one knew for sure if Kitty was dead or not, but the child had clearly been stabbed and had a red mark around her neck. Police believed that Katie might still be alive because the condition of the crime scene showed that the child had been recently injured. But Alison said she knew, as soon as she put her head in her arms, that her daughter had lost her life. A few minutes later, the ambulance arrived. Katie's body was immediately taken to the hospital, and Alison went with them. Less than an hour later, exactly at 5:40 in the afternoon, the doctors came to Alison Ruff with a sad face and told her to try to revive the baby. But it didn't work, and Alison said that although she was sure that she had lost her daughter, there was still a hope in her heart before the doctors told her anything. After the announcement of Kitty's death, an autopsy was performed on the child's body, and the results showed that the cause of Kitty Ruff's death was suffocation. It seemed that someone wrapped a cloth-like object around Kitty's neck and strangled the child, and numerous injuries were seen on Kitty's body. That the autopsies announced that all the injuries were caused after Katie's suffocation and death. The child's throat had been cut, and the marks of stab wounds could be seen on her upper body, and there was also a relatively large cut on her stomach, All the injuries were caused by a cutter, and Katie had not felt any of them because she had lost her life due to suffocation before being injured. Katie had clearly been murdered, and there's no denying that. But why? The person who killed Katie was a teenage girl. She was a 15-year-old girl who knew Katie. She was playing with her that day, and Katie trusted her. We have no information about the identity of this person because, according to the laws of England, the identity of a criminal under the age of 18 should not be disclosed to the media. Narration of the story from the killer's side. As I mentioned earlier, Allison Ruff called the police at 4:45 p.m. on January 9th and reported her daughter missing. Exactly 10 minutes before Allison's call, a teenage girl called the police on her cell phone from the same area where Katie's body was found, saying in a trembling voice, "I killed her." She did not say anything else, and the police found his exact location using the caller's mobile phone and went to the scene. While the police were on their way to the park, one of the residents of that area saw this young girl with bloody clothes on the side of the street. A cutter and mobile phone were seen in the hands of the young girl, and she did not say anything. When the police arrived at the scene of the crime, they encountered the body of Katie Ruff and then arrested the killer. At the scene of the crime, a piece of paper was seen that looked like a note written on, "They are not human." When Katie Ruff was declared dead, the 15-year-old girl was officially arrested and accused of murder. During the police interrogations with the 15-year-old girl, the investigators found out that this young killer suffers from auditory hallucinations and delusions, hears voices that others don't hear, and has strange behaviors. All the things she had done with Kitty were carried out on her dolls. They found a number of dolls in her room whose bellies were torn or whose heads were not on their bodies. That this person has been self-mutilating and cutting his hands and feet with a sharp object for a long time. Exactly a few days before Katie's murder, this girl posted a post of fresh wounds on her body on Instagram and wrote in the caption, "I'm not really good mentally. According to the information we have about this girl, we know that she loved horror stories. And after she lost one of her close friends due to death, she started self-harming, had suicidal thoughts, and became obsessed and interested in death and science fiction." During the interrogations, the 15-year-old killer of this case used to refer to robots between every few sentences, she said, mentioning that robots have hidden themselves among ordinary people, and even her family members are robots. Court without media presence. It was clearly clear that the mental state of the 15-year-old girl was not good. That's why, before an important court was held for her, a medical team admitted the killer to the hospital for 12 weeks to conduct tests related to mental health. The main trial was held in July 2017, and the killer said for the first time in this court that she strangled Kitty with a glove, then cut her throat and stomach with a knife to see if she was human or a robot after the murder, while the bloody knife was still in his hand. She left the park and went to a dead end and called the police to report what she had done. The 15-year-old killer pleaded not guilty in both the first trial and the main trial, and her lawyer said the girl was innocent due to a lack of mental health and decision-making capacity. After this declaration of innocence, several more court hearings were held, and in the end, it was diagnosed that the murderer suffered from a mental illness and does not have the ability to make correct decisions. But there was a difference of opinion about what kind of illness he has. The majority said that he is suffering from schizophrenia, but all the doctors not agreeing to be involved in the case. In the end, the 15-year-old murderer was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 5 years. The 15-year-old murderer of this case was born in 2002 or 2001 and is currently 23 years old. Is she still alive? We don't know if she is free or in prison. What is her mental state? Does she regrets what she did or not? And how is she living? We don't know anything about the 15-year-old girl, but we do know that Katie Ruff never saw her 8th birthday and passed away exactly 1 week before her birthday.